Kids, you will learn in school that George Washington could not tell a lie. Today here at the pier you'll learn that jugglers can. And you're about to see one of America's most famous street performers. Pinch yourself, you might be dreaming. Pinch yourself if you like that kind of thing. Because for over 30 years, this entertainer has entertained the masses. And the skinny people too. Please welcome the man they call the juggling genius, Mr. Daniel Da Vinci.
My real name is Dan Holzman. I'm a performer. I performed under a lot of different names. Dan Raspini is the team name. I'm part of a Raspini Brothers team, and that's Barry and Dan Raspini. I've also been called Danny Mulligan, the golf nut. I used to do a show based around golf. And my latest incarnation is Daniel Da Vinci, the juggling genius. And that's the name I'm currently performing under. But there was never any like eureka moment like, oh, juggling is what I want to do. It was more like, well, that looks interesting to try. And I really found that I could practice it on my own and have fun. I saw one guy on TV, his name was Chris Cremo, who became my idol. I could never like juggle just to music. Because I juggle kind of slow, so it kind of comes across boring, but he was like. And after I saw that, I thought, oh, okay, wow, that's really what juggling's about. But then they came this thing called the comedy juggler. So they were very entertaining, but they weren't relying on 100% skill. So it became more accessible to me.
What I'll try to do is have just the ball hit just a cigar, supposed to fly gently out of Alex's mouth. What's probably going to happen is, I'll hit him in the throat, he'll start to gag, he'll spit it out. It looks the same.
I'm like, oh, I get it. I can do comedy and wacky things, and I don't have to like juggle to music in a Las Vegas review show. And that's what I thought jugglers did. And we were doing a local show in LA, and I saw an ad that said, looking for jugglers for cruise ships, management. So this other guy came along, his name was Joe Gunches, and he saw us and he said, hey, I can get you guys on The Tonight Show. I know the guy who books The Tonight Show. I think you guys have a unique act, and I'll get you on The Tonight Show. We're like, yeah, okay. But sure enough, he got the guy to come see us, and saw us. We did The Tonight Show twice with Johnny Carson back in the early 80s. We got to do a show for the President of the United States, President Reagan. And that really kind of put me in good with my family, because my grandfather was a big Reagan fan. Because they really weren't sure what to think about this juggling as a career thing. But after I got on The Tonight Show and started making some money, and we're like, hey, I'm going to, I'm flying out to Atlantic City to open for Howie Mandel or whoever, they start becoming pretty into it. But at first it was pretty much discouraged.
Thank you. Impressing the kids, disappointing my parents at the same time.
People started hiring entertainers for their corporate events. And for like 10 years, that was a really good living until the 2001, the 9/11, and also the economic crash. And then when the president gets on the airwaves saying like, okay, you companies have to cut back. No more of these lavish parties. You're not going to waste any money on, frivolous things. And there's nothing more frivolous than, a juggling show. Well, I think I had a lot of passion for it. I think now, I've been doing it for, since I was 13, so we're talking about 37 years. And then you get to a point where you're just kind of like, you go, oh, are my best years behind me? Was that it? Was that my peak? And I kind of realized, yeah, I think that, there are things I'm going to try to do to maybe have a second life in entertainment. But I might feel like, wow, those were the best years.
Will attempt to juggle while thinking about something else.
So about 2 years ago, I started going out to the pier to develop a solo act. So I've been doing it 30 years, but as a solo this time around, about 2.5, 3 years. But for the last, I'd say, 26, 7 years, I relied on this with miscellaneous stuff here and there, 100%, yeah.
Please welcome the Raspini Brothers.
Yeah! Yes! Thank you. Watch this. Tonight, something completely different. Ping pong ball spitting. Well, thank you, cymbal fans. Thank you. And you can buy my album of funky cymbal hits and $6.95. All right. The Laugh Factory.
I think once we had an act, my partner was happy just selling that act. And at that point, it's hard to break in new material because you're doing high-end shows. Like if you're at the Pier, you can try new stuff just because it wasn't that, important as far as, like if you're doing a TV show or a thing where they're paying you thousands of dollars, you have to probably be a bit more careful about trying new stuff. I'm still interested in creating a livelihood and a life as a juggler for another 5 or 6 years. But passion, I don't think I have that much passion for it anymore, other than it's what I do, and there's really nothing else I want to do.